Hello everyone, this is Brian bringing you episode 16 of my Reusable space program. It's time to add on to the station launched in the last episode. These are two new critical modules, actually three, I take that back. I believe there's the Colony Control Center in this one, the Aeroponics module, and I can't remember what it's called, Space for Growing the Plants is the third one. And I expect this LV-250 to go all the way up and dock the station before returning home. Pretty standard launch. Station is at, I think it's 118 kilometers, 120 kilometers up. So what I plan to do here is, I targeted the station and I waited until the station was directly overhead before launching. This way I expect this to go into a low Kerbin orbit where it can do its plane matching, and it'll be in a good position to catch up and do a timed home and transfer to increase its orbit up to the 120 mark. What I didn't want to have happen was that if I ended up in orbit in front of the station, I would have to wait a long time before docking. I'd have to do several orbits before it would progress all the way around and catch up from behind. I think I mentioned before that I'm using the Modular Kolonization system mod to build this station. The reason being is because these components they're kind of multifunction components, and if I were to do this using nearly stock parts, I would need to build up every little subsystem, all the batteries and solar panels, etc. And one problem with that is I end up with a station with hundreds and hundreds of parts on it, and it's very hard on the frame rate. Whereas this, you can build an entire station with only about 8 pieces, which is really nice. This station is going to be the most complex of all the ones I built because it's kind of like the capital. It's kind of like it's a big city. Well, not a big city, but I suspect there's going to be a lot of activity up at this station. Okay, so I stopped throttling with my apoapsis up at, it's hard to read this in post, but it's right around 80. I really don't need to do this with the fuel tanks anymore. Especially since the next time I thrust I'll be in a vacuum. And yeah, it looks like I got lazy. Allowed the MechJet maneuver planner to do the circularization node for me. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have the energy to do everything manually, and sometimes I just kind of want to relax and not get into the details too much. Now what I'm doing here is I'm seeing if I can do a little bit of plane matching at the same time. The station is not perfectly orbiting along the equator. It's just like a half a degree off or something. Now this payload's pretty long and heavy, so again I'm going to hang on to those fairings for a little while. Release them right before I complete my circularization so that eventually they will fall back into the atmosphere. So if I remember correctly, the Aeroponics there is that top module. The space for the plants is the middle module, again I can't remember its name, and the colony control center is the bottom module. All of these modules, what they're doing is they're basically recycling resources. I could just put, you know, empty stuff up there and fill it full of Kerbals and life support, but then I have to keep you know, resupplying them a lot, whereas these things will set up more of a nutrient loop, much like we have here on Earth. The control center outputs punch cards, which is, you know, it's like orders, right? Instructions for the other modules. I believe the Kerbitat takes in Kerbal waste and produces biomass, which is then used to grow the plants with. That's like the plant food, you know, compost. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong on this. This is the first time I've done this. I've watched the tutorials, but it's been it's been about a month since I watched the tutorials. Once I get it all figured out, I'll probably describe this in more detail. Looking around for the station, I think that's it right there, that little gray dot on the right. So this would be the home and transfer, I believe. Okay, here we are. Now it's a matter of getting this entire beast into position. So for my docking here, I usually set it into chase mode. I've mentioned before that if you do this and you get your camera positioned right behind your vehicle, then your J, K, I, and L keys correspond to up, down, left, and right. Yeah, it's going to take a few minutes to get this over here, so I'm going to skip ahead. Okay, getting this thing lined up. And right about here I'm realizing just how hard I made this for myself. With a very long station and a very long rocket, it's going to be difficult to get these docking nodes to attach perfectly, to get them lined up perfectly. Luckily, the sun comes out. And whoops, not quite there. I think I gave this station a little bit of rotation. Yes, I'm definitely going to have to send up some sort of tug to move these parts around easily. Something that's more nimble and probably carries a whole lot of monopropellant. I'm going to skip ahead here. It's going to take me several minutes to get this lined up again. Just got to be patient. Okay, a couple minutes later, 2 or 3 minutes, maneuvered this thing around into position again for another try. And I am very aware of my monopropellant. It's not like my booster has an endless supply of it. Get my velocity vector right on the target. If it bounces around a lot, it just means that you're moving very, very slow. You know, if you're doing 0.1, then very small thrusts will move your velocity vector quite far, and that's fine. Okay. Should be making contact here. Oh, nope, got a little bit further to go. Looking pretty good. I don't want to bump it right now. It'll start spinning. That's another tip. Come straight in. Don't come in at an angle like I typically do. Alright, looking pretty good. Contact. I just need to get these two to behave. Okay, release SAS. Let the magnets do their job. And a few wiggles later, and one thing you can also do, which I just tried, was, oh, there we go, is when it looks like, if you're moving past it, when it looks like you're lined up, go ahead and hit the SAS on to hold yourself there. Alright, boom, instant garden. I wish I could do that at home. Okay, let's get this booster home. Yeah, that's right. I'm reorientating this whole station right now. So I'm going to give it a minute here and make sure it's not spinning. Alright, time to decouple. Rename this again, Kerbin Station. Okay. Alright, I'm kind of looking at this, I'm going, uh-oh, am I going to knock my engine into this thing? This is probably not good. Looks like there's room. Alright, that's alright. Okay, set my waypoint. So I have, I think, 948 delta V left, which is awesome. So I set up a node for, I think it's around 900, position it just past that waypoint. That should give me a little bit of altitude to use my parachutes to drop right down onto the waypoint. Okay, a few minutes later, ready to do the burn. Okay, and I'll speed this up for you to make sure this goes kind of quickly. You've seen it many times. And move the fuel weight down to the bottom near the engine. Get some overheating, so I'm going to rotate it here. Ooh, lost another fuel nozzle. That's okay. Alright, looks like I overshot. Not really sure why. Maybe I didn't do that burn quite right. Alright everybody, thank you for watching. I think the next episode we'll see me launching some sort of utility vehicle for the station, or maybe a transfer vehicle. This mission was a success. Bye.